Hello, hello. It's Memento, and I played Fields of Mistria. And guess what? I have opinions. So sit back, relax, leave a like. Let me tell you about my first, I kid you not, 8 hours playing Fields of Mistria and why I kept coming back for more. So, to start, Fields of Mistria is incredibly charming. Of course, one of the first things that caught my eye was the stunning visuals and unique 90s anime's aesthetic of it all. This is an artistic niche that you don't see a lot of in gaming, and I really think it needs more time to shine. I actually really like that lately it's felt like 90s anime style has been coming full circle, and Fields of Mistria kind of spearheaded that. Not only that, but the character customization is downright adorable. I loved all the choices, and I learned quickly that I would be unlocking so many more cosmetics just through playing the game. This was such a sweet touch, and I really, really love how I was able to bring Memento to life. Also, as a side note, I think it's really funny that when I run, I kind of look like I'm punching. I just thought that was funny. So, the plot of the game is relatively simple, but I think it flows well. The town of Mistria has been absolutely ravaged by disaster, to the point where there isn't even a bridge to get into the town anymore, all but destroying any semblance of trading, economy, or, the general well-being of the population. But that's where you come in. In exchange for free lodging and overgrown farm space, you take on the task of helping restore the town to its former glory. It's a daunting task for sure, but Adeline and Island seem to think you're the perfect candidate for the job. And honestly, what lovely people to meet when you first enter the town. I honestly will get to it later, but the characters are just so charming in Mistria, and I really, really loved Adeline and Island. Thus begins your time in Mistria. As with pretty much every farming sim, your first task is to meet everyone, and you have to introduce yourself. What I liked about this was that the map actually shows you where people are, so once you're down to that final person, it's a little bit less punishing than in some other games in this genre. What I do wish, though, is that when I hover over the portrait, I really wish it would give me the name of the character, especially in that beginning phase where I don't recognize anyone. And while all of the characters are visually incredibly different, their sprites, not so much, only on that map page. On the map page, they get a little hard to recognize. I also understand that I might have just really terrible facial recognition. But once you've done the first task, you earn money as well as something called renown. This renown is what raises the rank of the town. You can earn this in quite a few different ways, but the primary one is through completing requests of the different villagers who are living in Mistria. Some of these are story related, like how you meet each villager, or when you repair the bridge to help the Saturday market come back, while others are just daily requests that you find on the bulletin board. Each one of these can be completed in any amount of time, which is nice because I found myself struggling in the early game to find some of the things I needed, and I think they just weren't available yet. So it's nice that I have unlimited time to try to appeal to the different villagers. Now, one hack I did notice for these requests is make use of Balor. I'm going to say Balor? Balor? I've never said his name out loud. The merchant. I'm afraid I'm butchering it. The merchant's traveling cart. I would check it each day, and if it had something I didn't think I could easily find, I would just pick it up to complete the request. And this was helpful for me because I knew that for this video, I would only be playing around the first month of the game. But if you aren't worried about doing things quickly, then you can save your money and you can skip this step. However, I'm a little min-maxer, so I could only think of, how do I get them faster? The initial goal is simply to get the town back to where it used to be, and as you build up your renown, you open up more and more new possibilities. At the very end of my recording, I was able to get the mill up and running, something that will surely be valuable to me later on, seeing as you can make feed for animals and even treats for your pets. But I'll get into that later. Because we need to talk characters. I love how alive Mistria feels. The characters are so well written as well as diverse. But one thing I especially love is how they all seem to be interconnected. You can tell that all of these people have known each other for a good long while. It really feels like Celine has grown up in Mistria, and it's charming to see how the budding relationship between Valen and Juniper unfolds each Friday night. Oh, and speaking of Friday nights, we need to get into those. Because, let me tell you, do not miss your chance to go to the bar. All of the characters will be there every Friday night. Yes, including the kids. Don't worry, they're not drinking. Drinking underage is bad. Comment if you agree. So not only is this a great chance to turn in quests you've completed, but it's also a great time to get to know everyone. What I noticed is during the Friday night bar visits, there are 4 subplots going on each week, and they build upon each other. I found this so genuinely rewarding, and I love seeing March get drunk and downright flirty, following the D&D campaign, and even listening as the kids go over their heist. It's charming, and it adds so much character to already really fleshed out characters. I really feel like all of them have so much spirit to them, and that's something so important for games like these. You never want your town to feel empty, and I certainly wasn't getting that vibe from Fields of Mistria. In fact, sometimes I found that they had too much life. Sometimes I noticed that it was impossible to catch Adeline where I needed her. I came across one story quest where I needed to speak to Adeline in her office, and I swear she was everywhere but where I needed her to be. It definitely took some careful timing, and I barely made it back to my house without passing out, but when she was finally in that house, I could race over there, talk to her, do the whole situation, and get the, stuff figured out, and then run home before I passed out. And this is one of those situations where if you aren't playing to min-max the game, it probably actually wouldn't bother you. I just happen to be someone who really enjoys doing as much as possible, as quickly as possible in my farming games. And I just wanted to be able to trigger the dialogue anywhere. So now it's time for the beefy section, the mechanics. As with most farming sim games, there are quite a few mechanics that need to be discussed, and I do want to take the time to break down each one of them. So, let's see how many I have. I only have 9. Number 1, farming. By far some of the most simplistic farming, and it's clear that Fields of Mistria, despite featuring fields in the name, isn't so much a farming sim as much as a game that also happens to have farming in it. You have a pretty tiny plot of land that gives you just enough space to get the crops you need for the museum. Right now I haven't seen any mention of fertilizer, and crops do not appear to have different qualities. There also doesn't appear to be a sprinkler system in the game. However, as I was moving through and progressing through the story, I did notice that your watering can is unlimited. There are different buffs that you can get that allow things to stay watered, and There are spells, one of them most likely being a spell for watering. I didn't see it, I didn't look it up, but I do have a suspicion that that's a thing. I do hope in the future it's possible to get more plots of land, as when I get to like fully decorating my farm, I feel like I'm going to want a lot of different plots of land and not to be confined to the one small space in front of my house. So in general, it's clear farming is not a main focus of Fields of Mistria, but I don't think the way they set up their farming is bad by any means. Bug catching! It's very simplistic. Bugs don't seem to run away from you, so you don't have to stalk after them, which is quite a relief. I see you Animal Crossing fans, I am one of you. Instead, you just swing the net and get the bug. The game is very clear that upgrading your net is for aesthetic purposes only, so I really like that while you can upgrade each of your things to, you know, copper, silver, gold, it's not... Your bug catching net is purely aesthetic, and they tell you as much. Three, fishing/diving. There are only 9 categories, but I did combine a few of them. Hot take, but I'm a little sad there's not a fishing minigame. I like fishing minigames. It's very simple fishing. You cast your line, and when the little ding exclamation mark appears, you press a button and it reels in your catch. This is a little too simplistic for my personal taste, however I understand that fishing games are a hot topic. One thing I do like is you can find schools of fish. These offer multiple chances, or there's an upgrade that you can get where when you swim, yes, there's swimming in the game, you can swim through them and actually get things just through swimming. I do wish you could fish from the water, as I did find that when I was out swimming, there were usually a lot of fish in the ocean, but there are diving spots, and each time you see a diving spot, you just go floop. And then when you come up, you either have an artifact for the museum or a fish. Smithing and woodworking. I know I combined them again. So this is what allows you to craft your own ores, upgrade tools, make furniture, and it's a simple system. There's no mini game, but I did like that time passes while you're working. I also noticed that it takes a lot of materials to make these ingots, and while you can lower this number in time, it's definitely one of the things meant to make you take Fields of Mistria more slowly. I'm going to say this, you're not supposed to min-max this game. I just happen to be that person, and Fields of Mistria makes that clear. One thing I also like is that you can craft weapons and armor. You can add a smithing and woodworking station to your own property as well, but I didn't find it to be too much trouble to go to them in town. When I actually get to setting up my farm, I'm so sure that I will actually want them present on my farm, but for now, all I'm really doing is worrying about my ores and upgrading my tools, so I don't need all that. I only upgrade my farm in endgame. I'm sorry, I combined one more time, and that would be mining and combat. The caves are really fun. Point blank. You can find bugs, fish, and lots of various enemies in the caves, as well as the usual ores and gems. You destroy the rock, you find the ladder, you climb down, and occasionally you get some treasure. Every 5 floors you get a checkpoint. Haha, see what I did there? Number 5, 5 floors. Didn't do that on purpose, but now it's funny when I record it. Every 5 floors you get a checkpoint so you can go back to the surface. Mining is stamina intensive though. I have not managed to do a 10 floor day yet, but I'm going to get there. I'm determined. I found that the enemies were interesting and a lot of them had different mechanics, and I think it's really cool that you can actually jump in the game in general, but you can jump across gaps in the floor to get to other sections and also to get away from enemies. Number 6, cooking. I'm just not the person. I personally found it better to just buy food, but for whatever reason, I'm not into cooking in games. Most people hate fishing. For me, it's cooking. I have a feeling that I will go back to this at some point, as I do kind of want to, in the future, 100% the game. You have to have the right ingredients, and it's very similar to smithing and woodworking, where there's no mini game, it's just the passage of time. And I thought that that was fine. Again, it wasn't anything special, and I'm not the one to speak on it, and I realize that. Ranching! The animals are so stinking cute. There isn't too much for me to do in the early game with ranching, but right now you're able to feed your animals, love on your animals, and then they produce animal products for you that you can sell, cook, or even refine in the mill. Like I said, there's not a lot you can do with this in early game unless you go really hard into it, which I'm a farming girly, so I went harder into my farming and my mining than I did my ranching. But I think it's a strong start, and I will have those pink cows. Magic! Although I didn't get super far in this, I love how they included magic in this game. Over time, you learn different spells, each one using some of your mana. This mana replenishes a certain amount each day, meaning that you have to plan out your spells and can't just use them for any little thing. So once you have more spells, you can look at what will work best for your style of gameplay. I can see myself watering crops. And I like this too because it kind of makes me think, with such a focus on D&D with one of the Friday night plot lines, this really made me feel like a cleric in a lot of ways, where you have to plan out your spells the day before you're actually going to use them in D&D, or at least in the D&D that I played when I was in college. Number 9, upgrading. I've alluded to this throughout the mechanics section, but you can actually upgrade all of your different skills. Each skill has 4 initial upgrades it can receive that all offer some form of quality of life. And then once you get to level 15 in that skill, you gain 4 more unlockables. And I love this progression system because even though most of these are just little things, they do add up to make a huge difference. Trust me, having a random chance to blow up a rock when mining helped so much, and I'm getting closer and closer to my one day 10 levels in the mines. Some of my needs were, like I said, the adjacent rocks sometimes exploding when you mine, only needing 9 ore instead of 10 to craft an ingot, and some plants auto-watering when you plant them. Those were all fantastic quality of life, and I really look forward to seeing what quality of life it offers when you get further down into the system. And I thought this was really inventive and really creative. I was really impressed with the thought put into each mechanic that I saw in Fields of Mistria. To have that many upgrades available is absolutely astounding, and I have full faith that by the time you unlock them all, you'll be running your farm like a well-oiled machine. Despite the simplicity, it really works in the game's favor. Though I do tend to crave a fishing minigame or little challenges, I think using the progression system is a really good stand-in. Next, I want to move on to a few miscellaneous things that I didn't find fit into any other category. And there's only 4 of these, so it's fine. It's less than the other section. The museum. Were you worried there wasn't a place to put all your collectibles to prevent you from selling them for sweet, sweet profit? Don't worry, we have a museum for that. I'm a little mixed on the museum, to be honest. I think it's interesting that you get rewarded based on the bundles, much like in Stardew Valley, but can also get frustrating if you just can't find that one final thing. I don't mind this system in Stardew Valley, yet something about it here did feel a little bit off, and I think this was in the setup. Normally, I expect a museum to need one of everything, so this could be things like plants, bugs, fish, or anything else that your game might have unique to it. But this museum is more like the community center bundles of Stardew, and I think it felt like a certain disconnect because of that. And I know that sounds a little nitpicky and a little minor. It's mainly just me sort of throwing out there that there was a disconnect with it, that some things just don't go in the museum and there doesn't seem to be a reason, whereas I associate a museum with something like Animal Crossing where they take everything, and not something like Stardew Valley where you have community center bundles. But what I do really like is that you can actually check from your inventory to see if you've donated something or not. That's super useful when weighing the pros and cons of throwing something away, because your backpack space is very limited. As with every farming sim game, they tell you buy the backpack upgrade and then it's still not enough. Capitalism! Number 2 is the festivals. While playing, I got to attend the Spring Festival, and I think that the setup for this was perfect. When I did my review of Peaceful Days, I talked about how I wasn't aware ahead of time that I would need flowers, and I missed a big portion of the festival because of it. Well, Fields of Mistria set up and solved that problem seamlessly. A few days before the festival, Celine comes by your farm to tell you about it and about collecting Breath of Spring flowers. These are special flowers that you get just from doing your day-to-day chores. I love how this incentivized you to run down your stamina each day to 0, and even maybe restock your stamina to try to get more of the Breath of Spring flowers. Plus, I thought the town looked so cute, all decorated. Saturday Markets. This is a weekly event, much like Friday nights at the tavern, that you unlock once you fix the bridge. I love how this is set up to allow the player to get new recipes for food, clothing, hair, and furniture. Or, you can just buy it outright if you have the money. One really nice touch is that all of the vendors have their own portraits, and it seems you can form friendships with each and every one of them. And that makes me wonder if maybe they even come to the town more, or move to the town if you get their friendship high enough. I'm not sure about that, and again, I didn't look up spoilers, but that is where it's going in my mind. And the last one, pets. You can adopt a cute pet. Of course, I named my cat Nadia, and I give her love every single day. Plus, you can give her a job, and you can have her go out and collect wood, stone, or a seasonal forageable. Plus, your pet really will be out in the world doing this. It's so sweet, and I absolutely adore how Fields of Mistria does this, and I don't know, there was something nice about seeing Nadia out in the wild actually earning her keep. Finally, let's talk music. All the music you've been hearing over the course of this video is from Fields of Mistria, obviously. The only thing I do is turn off sound effects, because I do not like them, and I prefer to just hear the music, and proper looping. When I say proper looping, what I mean is the tracks do not loop well. There's an awkward and long pause at the end of the audio track before the next one kicks in. I suspect if I kept sound effects on, this would be less egregious to me, because you'd at least hear the world itself making noise, and it would probably help ease in the sound effects. But for me, it's just absolute silence because I don't like sound effects. And there also is no music in the main world after 8 p.m. Again, I believe this is so you listen to the ambiance of like crickets chirping and everything, but since I don't like hearing the noise when I pick up items or farm or do any of that, I don't get the crickets ambiance that might be happening in the night phase. I'm not sure if this is an easy fix or a hard fix, but I really hope that in the future they add in some soothing evening music and maybe get the music looping a little more seamlessly. Now, I know that might have sounded a little nitpicky, but I will say this has been some of my favorite music in a farming sim, and I've been playing a lot of farming sims. And don't even get me started on how in love I am with that summer soundtrack. I played one day into summer just to see how things look different, and oh, it was such a reward to step out of my house and hear that. The music in Fields of Mistria sets the mood extremely well. It has that Ren Fair charm to it that sets a scene, like when you go into the mines and you feel ready to charge into battle. I really did think they did an excellent job on the soundtrack. But, of course, as I always say, music is subjective, so really it's up to you to decide how you feel about it. In conclusion, I really fell in love with Fields of Mistria. It's such a charming game, and there's so much potential in what's to come. And it has a roadmap! Yay! As an early access game, it's so important to have a roadmap to let people know what's to come and when to look forward to it. This not only keeps people informed, but it also makes it so players know it's still being lovingly worked on. The current state of the roadmap has the first update of 2026 coming relatively soon. Maybe this video made it out before, maybe not, I'm not sure. So I suspect Q1. There's a lot coming with this update as well, and it seems that the 1.0 release will be happening before the end of 2026. Despite no specific dates given, I like that I can look at this and see what's still to come. And the best news yet, 1.0 isn't the end! Yippee! The devs are still looking to update the game after 1.0 and add more to it, and I for one can't wait to see where they go with it. Fields of Mistria is an incredibly charming game that's full of life. The story is fun, the characters really appear to develop relationships with each other and grow with the story, and the mechanics are lovingly crafted. Currently the game retails at $13.99, and I think that price is more than fair. Given all the content within the game, I think they could charge more and possibly will at the 1.0 release. So I suggest grabbing it now because I think it's genuinely well worth the money. I got it on sale. If you want to wait for the sale, I think that's perfectly valid too, but $13.99 is a really fair price for this game. So, will you be checking out Fields of Mistria? I know I'm going to be playing more and getting back to my min-maxing ways as I decide whether I want to romance March or one of the royal siblings, because I just can't decide. And that's it. That's my whole review of Fields of Mistria. And if you enjoyed this review, give it a like. Leave a nice little comment about what you thought, and maybe even subscribe so that you know every time I upload a new video. And with that being said, have a magical rest of your night. Ready, steady, bye!